Hi, this is Bernie from the Walworth Library, and I'm here to do our second Tuesday of the month paper craft. And I'm doing something a little messy today, so stick with me. We're going to be making paper mache lanterns, and I have two examples here. This one, you can see there's a candle in here. This one is made out of flour and water and salt, and I did press some fern fronds and I applied those after everything had dried. And this one was made with Mod Podge, and you can see the difference between the two. This one's very white and glossy. This one is more antique-y. I'm going to tell you how to, in terms of what you need to do for each of these, but my preference actually, even though the Mod Podge was not as messy, my preference is for this one, the messier one, of course. We are going to start with the recipe for this one because you'll just adapt it then with the Mod Podge. But here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a cup of flour. You're going to need 2 heaping teaspoons of salt and a cup of water, and then have a little bit of extra water on the side. So 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water, and 2 heaping teaspoons of salt. You're going to mix that together, and my mixture is in this bowl. I added a little water because I found that the first batch that I made when I made my sample, I thought it was too much like pancake batter. It was pretty thick. So I'm trying it with a thinner batter today. You're also going to need a balloon. And, excuse me 1 second, I forgot, this actually is very helpful to have. Let me just grab it. An empty flower pot helps because when you put the strips of paper on the balloon that are coated with the mixture, it's easier to work on your project if you have some place to put the balloon, and the balloon fits nicely in this pot. So that's what I would suggest. You're also going to need some computer paper that is just plain white, and you're going to need some white tissue paper. Now, to get started with this, take your balloon, blow it up to the size you want, and tie a string, because once you get all your stuff on this, you're going to want to hang these. And it's easier to put the string on it while it's dry. Believe me, I've been through this. All right, so I'm turning my balloon upside down. I have a few pieces that have been in the Mod Podge, or in the flour mixture, sorry. And you're going to want to, what I call milking it, which, just turn my laptop a bit here, which means that you want to get the excess Mod Podge off, and then you're going to start laying it on your balloon. So this definitely is a craft that is not for the faint-hearted. I like trying different things, and I thought, well, this would be fun to do something paper mache that you could actually use it outside as long as it's not raining, because you don't want to get these wet, Miss Bernie. And I'm going to put a few more strips of my computer paper. This is what I'm starting with. The computer paper is your first layer that goes down. And it is opaque, but what you want to do is get so that it is overlapping a bit, so you don't have any holes, because this is what's going to give it its shape, its form. Let me just adjust my laptop again so that you can actually see how I'm applying this. There you go. And I do have an apron on today because this is a little on the messy side, as I said. But you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? Okay, so you can see how that pot really helps to stabilize things and the balloon doesn't all move all around. That can be quite annoying. And you can see the consistency of my flour and salt and water mixture. It's kind of drippy, but it will adhere, and it dries to a like a sepia tone, which I like because I like antiques. Okay. So you're going to keep applying this base, your computer paper, to the top of the balloon until you have a section. You don't want to cover the whole balloon because you have to have a place to put your hand in to put the candle in. And of course I use a flameless candle, a battery operated one. I don't need to have the fire department here at my house. And I would encourage you to use a flameless candle also. But just milk your paper a bit so that you get some of the mixture off. And if you have some holes that are forming, just kind of push the paper together a bit, because again, this is your structure, and this is what I mean about the balloon kind of having a life of its own. I almost dropped it. That would have been a big hairy mess. Okay. And I have to laugh that I'm even doing this craft because I don't make meatballs because I don't like having that feeling on my hands. So this is a big ironic craft for me to do with you because I don't like stuff on my hands. But as I said, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So this will take probably 2 or 3 days to dry. And I had mine hanging over my kitchen sink. I've got some old cross beams in my kitchen that I can hang baskets and things. So that was pretty handy for this craft. You may want to hang it on the clothesline as long as it's not going to rain. Hang it outside or hang it on your porch while it's setting. As long as it doesn't get wet, you're all set. And I've got a little bit more to do on this side. I just pre-cut. I didn't cut the strips, I tore them. Nothing fancy about this. And I suppose you could add a little bit of food coloring if you wanted a color to your, if you didn't like the patina that it's like an ecru. If you didn't like that, if you wanted to make it a little bit of a color, you could certainly put some food coloring in. A little drop wouldn't hurt it. And I am building up to the top, and I want to make sure that I can get my hand in there to put the candle in. You can see my string is on here already. And it is looking pretty good as a base coat. All right, so now I'm going to start with the tissue paper, and this is more transparent. So we're going to do a few layers of this. See how particular I'm being about this or not. Again, dip it in, get it on both sides. And this, the tissue paper is going to be more delicate, so it's more apt to tear, but just try to work with it as best you can to get it in there and get it around. And I have bigger pieces of the tissue paper that I'm putting on, not small strips. Turn my balloon. I can kind of attend to the top so that you have kind of an even top in terms of the top layer here, in terms of around where you're going to put the candle in, so that it doesn't look all raggedy. It's a big piece. And just get the paper to lie as flat as you can. It doesn't have to be, I mean, there's going to be some crinkles in it because it's paper and you're going around a surface that is round, so it's not going to lie perfectly flat, but do the best you can. And I was kind of wondering what it would be like if I put some glitter in this, if how that would look. So I did not. But while I'm doing this, have you ever pressed flowers or leaves before? If you want to do that, to apply that to the dried surface of your lantern afterwards, because I think that gives, you could add some color that way as well. What you want to do is get something that doesn't have a thick woody stem. That's why I went for the fern frond. No, what is it? The fern leaves. And I used 2 pieces of parchment paper. Put them between that, lying flat. Put those parchment papers between 2 pieces of cardboard. And then I put some heavy books on top, and I left them there for about a week. And then I was able to take them out. They were able to come right off of the paper, and I applied them to my lantern using Mod Podge. Just a little bit under and then a little bit over. And they have been holding up just fine. I did my samples probably 2 weeks ago, and they've been holding up fine. All right, I have a little bit more paper in here, and I'm gonna, you can put as many as 3 layers of tissue paper. I'm doing 2. So 2 layers of tissue paper over the computer paper. All right, that is ready to be hung up. To dry. And that's what it looks like when it's wet. So I'm just putting that in my bowl. My hands are a complete mess with the flour mixture. If you don't like getting that messy and you want to use the Mod Podge, you can use the Mod Podge. Just put it in a bowl, and you're going to, again, put it on your balloon, put the paper on, and put the Mod Podge over the top of the paper, and just layers just like this. Mod Podge is a lot less messy, but as I said, it has more of a glossy white sheen to it, even though this was a matte finish. And I did put some dried flowers on it. But for me, the sepia tone is my preference, and you can hear that it is nice and dry. I will mention that if you, when you take it off after it dries completely, you're going to pop the balloon and the balloon will come right out. If it doesn't sit flat, you can then very lightly moisten the bottom surface and kind of shape it so that it will sit flat for you. But I think this in terms of putting the candle in, I had enough room in the top to get my hand in, so I could do that. I have the flameless candle, and to me that it gives a nice little glow. So I hope you enjoyed this paper craft. I'll see you next time when we find something else to do, and it will probably be less messy than this one. But try it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks.